Hi everyone, this is video number 4. Today I wanted to quickly talk about the difference between psychiatric disease and real medical bona fide disease which your general practitioner diagnoses you with. In order to do this, I'll give you an example with a real disease and then I'll compare it to a psychiatric disease. Now you take a real disease like say someone with diabetes. How do you know you've got diabetes? You can't go to the doctor and say, oh, I've got, I'm feeling a bit dizzy and, I'm lightheaded and I've got headaches, and the doctor says, oh, you've got diabetes, here you go, there's your label. It doesn't work like that. They do tests and they find out what's wrong with you. In the diabetic case, what happens is inside our bodies, the digestion of carbohydrates results in the production of blood sugar known as glucose, and the hormone which regulates the amount of glucose in our body is known as insulin. And it's important that your insulin level is able to regulate the amount of blood sugar, otherwise you're going to end up with problems. And what happened was Charles Best and Frederick Banting, one of the first people to discover that insulin regulates your blood sugar hormone. And I think when they invented insulin, it was one of the first genetically modified hormones to be given to people. So there's a whole coherent, logical, tangible science between a real bona fide disease, something you can see, you can play with, you can examine, you can send it off to a laboratory. If someone dies with from a diabetic attack, they can open up your body. The pathologist will open up your body and say, oh, we found he never had enough insulin, so he died. There's a whole science there. Same with leukemia. If you think you've got leukemia, you go to your doctor. He takes a blood sample and he sees that you've got loads and loads of white blood cells. That means you've got leukemia, because they may even do a biopsy. A biopsy means they look inside your bone marrow, which is where the blood cells are produced, and they take a small sample of it and they send it to the lab, and the lab sends it back and it says you've got leukemia. So you go to the doctor, you have your test, you sit there, you wait patiently for a couple of weeks for the test to come back, and the test results will say whether or not you've got an illness. But with psychiatry, it doesn't work like that. They don't do a test. They do tests, but they've got no idea what they're looking for. In my case, as I found out, just because you've got a brain abnormality doesn't mean that's the cause of your illness. There's 100 people who've got the same brain abnormality as me on exactly the same place and location, and none of them have undergone brain surgery, and none of them have had any psychiatric problems, because there's not a single case study of a single disease validated. As Dr. Fred Bergman said in one of the YouTube videos, all they do is they pathologize normal behavior. If you don't fit in life, bang, there's your illness. And in a real medical book, each illness has got a treatment and a diagnosis, whether it's a brain scan, a biopsy, a blood sample. In psychiatric illnesses, they don't do a test, or if they do a test, they don't even know what they're looking for. All they're doing is pathologizing your behavior. And an example of this is one I found in the DSM, which is their medical handbook, which they use to diagnose people. And in the DSM, they've got a disease, and you've got to look this up. It's called mathematics disorder. This is a totally legitimate disease. You've got to look it up. Number 315.1, mathematics disorder. So people who find it difficult with mathematics problems and their math skills may have this disorder. If they have problems in using multiplication, arithmetic, division, if they have problems in adding and subtracting, they may have a mathematics disorder. And it's diagnosed, needs to be diagnosed by a clinician. It's usually reported by the teacher, and they're even debating whether there's a genetic basis for this illness. I mean, this is crazy. I mean, I wasn't good at French at school. I mean, what does that mean? I've got a French disorder? And someone who, remember when we once had a lesson at school, we had to learn how to cook. Some people like burn the food. What does that mean? That you got like a cooker disorder because you can't cook properly? Just because I'm not good at maths, but I'm good at history. What does that mean? I've got a mathematics disorder? And this is a totally legitimate disease, and it's on the same basis as this disease that they diagnose people with other illnesses. It's just you go there, you talk, and through what you tell them, they label you with something, and they don't take into account what could be causing your problems. There's a whole variety of social problems which could be making you go crazy. If you're a young lady from Eastern Europe and someone puts you to work on the street corner and beats the hell out of you every night, obviously you're going to go crazy. But to look up that individual and say, oh, she had a chemical imbalance, isn't fair. Obviously she did, but people made her go crazy. Another example, if you're in a rich family and people have got high expectations of you to carry on the family business, and your dad wants you to become a billionaire, that could be a lot of stress. Maybe he doesn't want the family business. Maybe he just wants to take it easy and marvel at the scenery in the park. If some people in poor families, they find it difficult to make ends meet all the time, and there's no money coming in, they can't get a job and end up going crazy. These are problems of living. They're not medical diseases which the psychiatrists trying to convince people which they are. And with this video, I wanted to say to people, because I've seen people on YouTube saying they're donating money to organisations like NARSAD. NARSAD being an organisation which is doing research into finding biological causes for mental illness. They got like neurosurgeons and neurologists working there, and they're looking at people's brain scans, and they're convinced that there's like a biological basis for their work. And I wanted to, with this video, explain to people that unlike diabetes, leukemia, cancer, which are real diseases, these diseases are diseases of fabrication. They don't exist. They're just for people that don't fit into society, and they're just making money off you. So I wanted to say, please don't donate money to organisations like NARSAD. They shouldn't even be wanting money from people of the general public. With all the millions of pounds, billions that drug companies are making, they should get the drug companies to sponsor their research, not wait for normal people to give them checks. And I want people to just look into this subject, look into how they reach a diagnosis, apply some common sense. There's more than 300 diseases in the DSM, and it's not like each disease has got a different chemical makeup. It's not like they do a brain scan and they find that your serotonin level was 3.4 and your dopamine was 5.6. That means you're bipolar. And if it was 3.1 and 2.6, you're depressed. And if you got 7.5 and 1.3, you got conduct disorder, and so on. It's not like each disease has got a different chemical makeup. None of them have. It's all fraud. So please, with this video, I urge people to look into the subject and open your eyes to different possibilities. Look at the work of Dr. Thomas Sass, Dr. Fred Baugman, a famous anti-psychiatry neurologist, and don't buy into the propaganda. Otherwise, they're just going to carry on publishing research after research after research paper, and carry on like this for another 10 years. And by that time, I would have been, everyone else would be dead and buried, and they'll just be sitting there with money on a yacht, soaking up the sun on an island in Hawaii somewhere, while everyone else is struggling. So please, don't be so naive, don't believe the propaganda, read up on the subject, and look at what evidence there is to support their claims. So thank you for your time, and thank you for watching.